Hey y'all, it's Val with Our Forever Farm. Today we are canning potatoes. First of all, I want to show you how easy it is. Second of all, like always, I want to encourage you to buy things on sale. If you can't grow them, buy them. And then third, I want to teach you that canning and freezing things are so worth the effort. I also want to encourage you that it's not too late. There's farmers markets and there's grocery stores with sale items. You can still do this. You can still prepare for your family for the winter now. Don't be discouraged. Just get up and do something. So it's a rainy, sunshiny day today, and we're peeling potatoes because we're going to can them in the electric pressure canner. Now, if you just have a regular pressure canner, you can also do this. Just follow your instructions with your ball book or your canner. I have an electric canner, so there's disadvantages and advantages. So the advantages to it is that it is easy and I feel safe with it, and it's just step by step. It tells you what to do. I love it, and that's probably the only canner I'll use. But the disadvantages is it doesn't hold a lot. I'll peel these potatoes, cut off the bad spots, and then I've got my jars in the dishwasher, so they'll be warm. On this canner, it has a warming feature where you can warm your jars. It takes about 20 minutes. You always want to peel up your potatoes, and I like to dice mine, and I wash mine after I peel them. So I'll do enough for 5 quarts, regular mouth is what I'll do. That's how many it holds. If I'm not wrong, it's been a long time since I've canned. If I'm not wrong, it holds 4 wide mouth quarts or 5 regular mouth quarts. The minimum you want to do is 2 in this electric canner. Now again, if you don't have an electric canner like mine and you have a regular canner that you cook with on the stove, you want to follow all the instructions just like it says. It's basically the same thing. It's just that this is electric and easy and I love it. So my garden's doing really, really good. It's rainy. It's been raining, it's storming, and then the sun will come out. It's just scattered thunderstorms today. Sweet Hunter and a friend are gone somewhere looking for a lawnmower. He's got to buy a new lawnmower. And so I thought today will be a good day to do it. And we live on this porch. We literally live on this porch. And you'll see a chicken nesting box right there. We put that together last night. That was awful. Oh my goodness, it took 3 of us to do it. It was really hard. So I'm going to finish cutting these potatoes, enough for 5 quarts. So don't forget all the information about canning these potatoes and the information on my canner. I am not affiliated with them anyway at this time. I'd love to be. I want another canner. I want 2 or 3 more where I can do more at one time. But it'll all be in the description box. If you don't know how to get to the description box, you click on the title of this video, you'll see the word more, and just go from there. So I'm guessing that's about enough for 5 quarts. I'm just guessing, but we'll peel some more if we need it. I'm gonna go throw these peelings in my garden. I usually put them in my compost bin, but my garden's thriving, and I'm just gonna throw them in the garden and they'll compost there. So now we're gonna wash the potatoes. I'm in my outdoor kitchen. I'm very thankful for this outdoor kitchen. It's got a full-size refrigerator in it. It's an older model, but hey, it works. And I've got a chest-type freezer. I've got a microwave, a sink, a big farm sink, and I've got an upright freezer, and the window looks out onto my garden. So I love my outdoor kitchen. It's so nice. Thank you, Lord, for your blessings on us. Washing these potatoes really good, and I rinse them about 4 times. That's going to get some of the starch off, but it's going to get all the dirt off too. My 3rd time rinsing them. So this is my little setup. This is actually a fish fryer, and this is our outdoor area. Our kitchen's just right on the other side of this wall in the garage. So I've got my canner set up. I'm gonna turn the fish fryer one eye on. I'm gonna cover my potatoes with water, and I'm gonna boil them for 10 minutes on here. In the meantime, I have took water and filled the canner up to the first fill line. You'll do that same thing in your regular canner. This is an electric canner. But in your canner, your regular canner, I think it's 3 quarts. Check your book, but there's a fill line that'll tell you to do before you pressure can. A lot of people are scared of pressure canning. It's really not scary. I'm more scared of this than I am the pressure canner. And y'all, I can't find any of my big canning pans. I tell you, this moving is for the birds. I'm glad we're not doing it anymore. So I'm gonna fill this pan up, and it is filling it up. And then I'm gonna cover these with water. And then I'm going to boil these for 10 minutes. The reason I do this, you don't want to cook them, you don't want to get them soft. We're just cooking the starch out of them, is what we're doing. So I'm gonna boil that for 10 minutes. I'm gonna put the lid on it because we are outside. I'm gonna boil the potatoes for 10 minutes. That will get the starch off. We're gonna drain the starch water off. I'll cool that and put it in some of my plants. It'll be good for them. In the meantime, I'm gonna get my jars ready and my canner. So if you haven't heard about this canner, it's a digital pressure canner made by Presto. It's USDA approved. And a lot of people question it, but I have had great luck with it. So I've filled my water to the water line. I've plugged it in, and it gives you an option, pressure can or water bath. And so I'm going to choose pressure can. And then it takes about 40 minutes to do the potatoes. So I'm going to turn this up to 40 minutes. I need to recheck that, but I think it's 40 minutes, and I'm going to do that. Then it's going to say insert jars. So I'm going to go ahead and insert my jars. Even though they're warm, I'm going to go ahead and put them in here just to show you the process while my potatoes are cooking. Well, they're not cooking. While my potatoes are boiling. So my jars are hot, but for demonstration purposes, I'm going to go ahead and show you what I do. So if your jars aren't hot, I just sterilize mine in the dishwasher. With a pressure canner, you don't have to sterilize them, but mine had been packed and I wanted to make sure they were getting clean anyway. But you fill these half full of water. This is 4 wide mouths. So I was going to do the regular mouths. I changed my mind because it'll be easier to get the potatoes in. So you set these down in the water. Remember, you got water in your canner. It's told you to insert the jars. That means that it's going to warm the jars. So I'm just going to do this. And if you have a regular canner, you'll have to warm your jars. You don't want to do, if it's cold pack, you want to do cold water. If it's hot pack, you'll do hot water. So I'm going to do hot because I'm boiling my potatoes. And again, the reason I'm boiling them for 10 minutes is to get the starch out. I'll drain the starch water off, feed it to my plants. So our jar's in. Now we're going to put the lid on. So there's an install and remove and lock. After your jars are in, they don't have lids on them. You're going to remove the regulator, and you just have to wiggle it around to get it loose. And then this is the sensor arm. You're going to lower it and lock this. And then we're going to go back to the play button where it says insert jars, and we're going to let it know that we inserted jars. And now it's on warm. It says warm. And I think this takes about 10 minutes. I'm having to relearn all this. So our potatoes have boiled for about 10 minutes. They're boiling now. And I'm going to turn this off. See if I can figure out which one. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I need to set this on. I'm gonna get this all set up, but I needed to do these potatoes today and get them done. And when you work outside, you know, I just don't like to work inside. So I'm gonna pour my potatoes in a colander. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want that water. Now, you did the potatoes, you did them, if I had a fork, I'd stick it in there. You did them to where they're just a little bit soft. And then we're going to remove our potatoes from this potato water. I'm just going to set them right here on the pan and wait on our jars to get done. I think I said 10 minutes to warm those jars. I think it actually takes 20. My jars were already warm, so I may stop that and go on. But, you know, I just want to show y'all. So I'm going to set my potato water. Where am I going to put it? I'm just going to set it over here until it cools a little bit. And then I'll feed my plants. I'll feed my tomato plants. I'll feed something with this starchy potato water. So we don't want these to cool because we're putting hot into hot. So to keep these potatoes warm, you can either leave them in the water or you can pour them back in the pan and put the lid on it. I lost a few. So now the pressure canner is telling me that it's warm and to fill the jars. So all I do is open the sensor bar, pop it up, and then I unlock it. Remember, this is not pressure can. This was just warming the jars. So when you're outside, you have to make do. So I'm just going to take them over to the table. And then I'll empty the water. I'm going to save this water. I'm going to add it to my starch water that I poured out earlier. So the next thing I do, I've got my lids and my rings done. And remember, the canner that I'm using, it holds a capacity of 4 wide-mouthed jars or 5 regular mouth. Right now, I'm just putting a teaspoon of canning salt in each jar. The jars are hot, and now we're going to add our potatoes. I'm not sure what I filmed and what I didn't, but I took a knife, got the air out, got my rings, got my lids, put my rings on. So you just do them finger tight. See, they're already pretty. These are great for fried potatoes. They're good for mashed potatoes. Breakfast potatoes is my favorite with them. It's quick and easy, and in a crisis or an emergency, I mean, it's always good to have something like this on your shelf. And I also don't know if I filmed this, but if you don't have one of these electric kettles and you're a canner, you need one. It's great. So now I'm going to move back to the canner, put the jars in, check the water line, make sure it hasn't changed, and then we'll pressure can them. You know, it says to fill jars, so we're going to go ahead, we filled our jars, and we're going to go ahead and place them in the warm water. Remember, you can put 4 quart wide-mouth jars in this electric canner, or 5 regular mouth quart jars, or 2 quarts minimum if you want to pressure can. I always remember hot bath, hot water, cold bath, cold water. So I'm gonna move this. I'm gonna push the button that I filled the jars. So I'm gonna put the lid on, and it's in the locked position. I'm gonna put my sensor arm down and lock it. I don't put my regulator on now. That's the regulator. That's what pressure cans it, because it's gonna vent. So what it's doing now is it's heating up, and then it'll go to vent. And when it goes to vent, it'll reach that means it's reached a certain temperature. It has a timer that it vents out, just like a regular pressure canner. I think we vent it for 10 minutes. I can't really remember, but I think it's 10 minutes. This one will tell you when to put the regulator on and when to start canning and what to do next. That's what I like about this canner, is you don't have to babysit it. If you need to run in the house, or if you need to run in another room, you can, because it's going to beep, it's going to stop, it's going to tell you step by step what to do. To me, that's a safety thing. And I love it. I can't say enough about it. So all I'm doing, I'm not gonna peel the rest of my potatoes until it goes from vent to pressure canning. And then I'll start peeling the rest of my potatoes, because this has to cool down. It has to pressure can for 40 minutes. Hummingbird. And then it has to cool down, and that takes a while. So I'll just take my time and do it. I love to be outside. I love to cook outside. I love to do this. I need to be set up a little bit different, and hopefully I will next time. I don't can a whole lot in the summer. I usually put everything in the freezer that I can, and then I can in the winter. And I water bath some. Usually everything comes in July, and it's so hot you don't want to be out here. So anyway, we're just waiting. It'll tell us what to do next. Now it's changed from heating to venting, and it's set for 10 minutes. So I want to show you that. This is the neatest thing. I love it. You do not have your regulator on yet. It'll tell you when to do that. You hear it beeping? It's telling me to put the regulator on. I will use a pot holder, put it on the vent side, and then turn it to can. Now I've got the regulator on. I did it to the vent side, turned it to the can. I'm gonna mash the play button, and it's setting the timer for 40 minutes. 40 minutes is how long potatoes can, or my recipe does. So I'm gonna let it can for 40 minutes. When it gets through, I probably have already told you, I think it takes about an hour and a half to cool it. So we're gonna let that go. Go do something else. See here, I'm just showing you that it beeped 4 times and went into pressure canning mode. So it went from 40 minutes down to 37, so it's canning now. The regulator's on, everything is going. So it'll be ready in 37 minutes, and then we'll have to let it cool. And while we wait, I thought I'd show you the garden. Now this is back in June when it's just coming to life, and it is just so beautiful. It's just amazing what we've got out of this garden. This was back before my injury. In fact, if you want to know the truth, today when I was canning these potatoes is the day that I fell and broke my kneecap. Isn't that something? I'm doing really good, and I thank you for all your prayers. I hope you have done some canning. I hope you've done some gardening this year. Stay tuned to the end because you'll see the final product of the potatoes. I hope you have enjoyed looking back at my garden. It's just so good to have a journal with pictures or a video to remind you of where it all began, and look back and see how many families you have blessed. To look back and remember the hard work, the hard labor you put in, and it just makes you want to say, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord, for all your blessings. Remember the verse, she looketh well to the ways of her household. The canner has cooled for an hour and a half. I'm taking the regulator off. I'm unlocking the lid and removing it. And now I can remove the jars of potatoes. Look at this. Is this not just beautiful? Just think of in the wintertime how much that's going to mean when you don't want to peel potatoes and you just want to fry up some potatoes or make potato soup or add them to a stew. They're just beautiful. So worth the effort. Another thing I like to do with these potatoes in the winter is when I don't feel like boiling potatoes or peeling them or cooking them, I just drain these potatoes, boil me some eggs, add some relish, mustard, mayonnaise, salt and pepper. You've got potato salad. After I pressure can these potatoes, then I let them sit for 24 hours. Then I take the rings off before I put them on the shelf to store for the winter. And I have many people ask me why I take my rings off. Well, the reason is if it ever comes unsealed, you would never know it if it has the ring on it. If it doesn't have the ring on it, then you would know for a fact that it was unsealed and you need to throw it out. So I'm sitting out here on the porch watching my birds. By the way, we had a bear come the other night. We don't have it on camera, but remember the little church birdhouse that I always show? He destroyed it. It couldn't have been anything but a bear. I can't believe it. It was my favorite bird feeder. He also bent 2 shepherd hooks. I wish we had a camera at that time. We do now, so if he comes back, we'll get him on camera. Here, I popped a picture in here where you could see the birdhouse. I couldn't believe it. So that's a close-up of the birdhouse he destroyed, and there's the 2 shepherd hooks on the ground with all the sunflower seed that he didn't eat, I guess, on the ground, and the birds are enjoying it. The news pole that you see up there was not there. There wasn't a birdhouse left standing when he got through. So before we go, let's talk about one more way, if you're not into canning, that you could preserve your potatoes, whether you buy them on sale or grow them. All I used to do is freeze them. And how I did it was I blanched them for 3 minutes, and then I would drain them, put them on a cookie sheet, dry them with a paper towel as much as I could, put them in the freezer, flash freeze them, and then package them in Ziplocs or vacuum seal. So it doesn't really matter how you preserve your food. If you have that desire, start out with freezing. It's an easy way to do it. Hey, I hope this helped y'all, and y'all go cook something.